Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into Trainer Talk Tuesday. Yes, new scene here today. Get used to it. There has been some changes, and we want to talk to you about 5 ways to embrace change. So let's jump right in, guys.
Now, guys, we all know that change is inevitable. It's going to happen, and we are actually experiencing some huge changes ourselves. So we want to give you some insight on our personal journey if you haven't been following us up to date already, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth about what's going on with us and then give you, as Nate mentioned, these 5 ways that you can embrace change in your own life, whatever situation you are going through. So getting started, guys, I wanted to give you a quote by Rick Warren that says, "There is no growth without change, no change without fear or loss, and no loss without pain." And I think this is very true for our situation, particularly right now. If you guys have been following us at all, then you know that we are going through huge changes. And that big change is that we decided to permanently shut down our training facility in Indianapolis. And we made this decision. First, I want to say this decision was not made lightly. There were a lot of conversations, prayers, tears, anger, all revolved around making this decision until we all reached this point. But with the pandemic, we know it's been incredibly difficult, guys, for everybody. And it got to a point in our business where the majority of our clients had switched over to virtual training. And unfortunately, for our business, that meant that we were sitting in 2,300 square feet of facility space, and we were talking to people on our phones. And at some point, that just didn't make sense for us anymore. And we had to get to the point where we accepted that. And we had to make a decision moving forward. So that's what we did, guys. We are going 100% virtual, which means that we did launch our virtual training club. So if you guys want access to that, we'll go ahead and drop a 7-day free trial in the link where you can try it out, guys. It's going to be awesome. We're so excited to grow that. We're also going to keep doing one-on-one training virtually, but that's our big decision. And then even past that, Nate, we're not just closing our facility, but
We are moving to St. Petersburg, Florida.
Yes.
At the same time. So not only are we, closing down and leaving Indy, but we pretty much, I don't want to say starting a new venture, even though it kind of is. We're just continuing our journey, just in a different location, somewhere where we always knew that we were ultimately going to be. But due to the pandemic, it has allowed this change to come a little bit sooner than expected. So with that, guys, jumping in right to number 1 then, because it's right where it's going to take me, is recognize change is inevitable and be willing to adapt. So that is exactly what we're doing right now. We are adapting to the situation at hand, not allowing our emotions or anything like that to hold us back and to allow this situation to get anywhere out of control. So we took control of it and adapted it in advance. And now we are just pretty much acting on that at this time and rolling with all of the punches, guys. And like we said and we mentioned, a lot of tears, a lot of emotions. There's a lot here, and it's a lot more than just that physical location itself that we're closing the doors on. I mean, tons and tons of valuable, very, very significant relationships formed over those past 5 years. Tons of lives changed. So many memories made. Guys, it has been just, it's a tough transition, even though it's exciting, right? We're moving to the Sunshine State. Yesterday we got confirmation that we did get approved, and we closed on a house that's just 5 minutes from the beach. And I mean, just a 5-minute car ride right down the street, over the bridge, and bam, there are all your beaches. Just about everything. Like when we're all watching HGTV, that's something that we used to do a lot of at one point in time, and we would see people buying these beach houses and moving to a place where they say, hey, I'm living where you vacation at, and we're doing that. But as you see Larissa right now, it's not something that we wanted to do this way, you know, and not saying that it's a bad thing that is happening this way, because our business is still alive and we're still okay. We just didn't want to have to leave so abruptly without, you know, the planning that it would take to make this move. Everything was last minute. We've been completely emotionally and physically overwhelmed.
Incredibly exhausted, guys.
Like
it took a week working. You know, I had to cancel all my clients. We had people come and help us, and it took us, 15-hour days hauling things, organizing things for 6-7 days straight. And then we jumped right back into work. Like, there's really no, stopping here. And, we're trying to transition. It's a lot physically, but then also there's that emotional component of, like Nate's saying, it's just, this isn't what we planned. And although we're so excited to go to Florida, because that is ultimately where we wanted to be, this just wasn't how we had written it out. And I think that's why we wanted to hit this first point that, change is going to happen, and really how you respond to that change is going to dictate the rest of your life. And we're not going to be controlled by these circumstances. We decided to adapt. Mm-hmm. And the way that we adapted was by offering virtual training options when the pandemic first happened, and that kept our business alive, guys. Adapting allowed us to continue to do what we love to do, and then it also provided this opportunity where we can now have the flexibility to live where we want to live and not be stuck in an area just because that's where we had a lease at. So there's a lot of positives to this, but yes, it's guys, it's still so fresh. We literally handed in our keys to our gym yesterday, and as we said, there's just like from the memories of clients, like you guys have helped us so much. I know you think that we have helped you, but you guys have really helped us. And then there's also like that standpoint of, man, we had 2 kids during that time frame, and they were raised in the gym.
They took their first steps.
They did. They really learned everything that they know how to do now in that space. And so, yeah, guys, that's hard, guys.
That was a big part too. Was my son is like myself, where he is very, very attached to things, and change for him is hard to embrace and to accept. So we're selling a lot of our personal items. The gym, everything, all of our equipment, everything has already been loaded up this past Saturday and shipped down. So we kept all those things, but obviously we told ourselves that once we realized that this thing was going to happen, that we were going to try to get all the way down into just a suitcase. If it couldn't fit in a car, well, then it's not going to go. So Larissa mainly, and when I say those relationships, right now we're sitting in one of our most loyal and like one of the greatest people we've met since we started this, and Kaylee Burgett, who is allowing us to use this space right now as we are, going through these changes. And so when we say these relationships that we form, like, guys, it's a lot. You've done a lot for us. You still continue to do a lot for us, even though you feel like we do so much for you. But just all these different things, and Malachi watching people take stuff out, and he's asking questions, and he's having these looks on his face, and us looking at him, and like.
So just to give you an idea, guys, we had a little table in the gym in the bathroom that really just had decor pieces on it, and we sold that. We don't need that anymore. And Malachi saw someone take it out of the gym, and mind you, we have explained this situation to him over and over and over again, and he was just like, I liked that table. I'm like, you've never touched the table, you've never acknowledged it before, but it is interesting to see, like, this affects all of us. Like, obviously Nate and I are affected, but like, we have to take into consideration our children too, and that they are being incredibly affected. But again, that goes back to the adaptation of, we're trying to set them up for something for the rest of their lives, not just like the here and now. And I think that's a huge part of that. And that kind of gets us into number 2, is that when you're going through a lot of change, whether that's good or bad changes, right? Like if it's something that's difficult for you to do, control what you can, and always choose your happiness and focus on the positives. And that's exactly what we're doing, guys. we couldn't control the pandemic, but like I said, we did control how we responded to the pandemic, and the way that we chose to respond to the pandemic ultimately led us here, because it opened up this just whole new world of opportunities that we didn't really think existed in our industry, or we didn't understand that we could make a certain type of income by doing things online in our industry. And we found out that we absolutely can. So we just decided to take control of that, take control of our future, of our children's future. And at the end of the day, as much as we love you guys, we were not happy here in Indiana. I know I wasn't. I just, I lived in Florida many years ago by myself. I moved there right out of high school, and it's hard living on your own when you don't know anybody and you're young, you don't have any money. But like, that didn't matter to me then. It was just like, everybody has their thing, and for me, it's the sun, it's the water, and that really helps me. Like, it's healing. And then I know if you are that type of person, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But maybe the mountains do that for you. People are going to be different, but for me, it's the sun, it's the water, and we just don't have that here. And as silly as it sounds to have like your weather dictate so much of your life, it really did for me. It really truly did. And I just wasn't happy here, and I felt stuck. As much as I loved having the gym and I was so proud of it, I felt like I was stuck. And this really gave us the opportunity to not feel like I was just like confined.
Yeah, and I second just about all of that. And for me, it's a little bit different because, as Larissa mentioned, she moved and lived in Florida for a short stint before ultimately coming back. Then we met, and now fast forward, here we are today with building Never Settle Fitness and everything else that we have had our hands in and on. But I've never really moved and been that far away from my family personally. So that, on a personal side, is something that I've been very conflicted with, is because my mom, my sister, my brothers, my intermediate family, who I've never been that far away from. I spent a short stint of time in Aberdeen, South Dakota, when I went to school to play ball right after high school. That wasn't training related. It was just me trying to further the basketball thing. So I spent a little time away, but nothing significant. This here is something that is going to be, for the rest of my life, that's pretty much how I'm looking at this. So when Larissa talked about being stuck, I would say I felt stuck, and stuck to a point where it made me very content, where this wasn't something that I was ever going to do unless this situation right here occurred. Now, after the 7-year lease was up, yeah, we were always talking about that was when we were going to make that move initially.
We did 5 years, guys. We served 5 years of that lease.
We served 5 years there. So after the next 2 years from now, we were going to make this move. But making it under these circumstances here is something that I could have never imagined doing, but adapting to it and just staying focused and goal-oriented has really, really helped us out here, especially myself here, if I'm speaking about me in particular. But this move itself is something that isn't easy to do. There, again, like I mentioned, I formed some incredible relationships. Larissa pretty much started her career in Florida. I started mine here, and now I'm transitioning away. And I had some amazing clients, and if some of you are watching it, you guys all know who you are. And I'm talking about every single last one of you who I have ever done one session, one round, one set with. I enjoyed and I value every single one of those experiences. And I also had a few mothers who I've worked with and had babies, and they reached out to me once we were posting about leaving and let us know how, I bred a healthy baby in that space, and it got so much meaning and value to them, and just all of those different things, and oh God, so much. But let me say a little bit about control what you can, because like we said, we want to try to stay and try to focus on the positives when you're going through tough moments like this that are, forcing you to have to adjust and adapt and make yourself accustomed to new things that you may have not been so used to in the past. But when those things happen, there are a lot of negatives that are sprinkled in there as well. And I'll tell you guys a quick story just about this past Saturday with moving and shipping our equipment and how incredibly hard that was, even though it was a job we booked 3 weeks in advance, but turned out that we were misquoted. It was supposed to be based off what they told us, space and volume in the truck, which to us kind of made, it made us question it, because me and Larissa travel, we drive state to state, and we see the truck stations the weight stations that the trucks have to drive through. So we know that that's a factor to be at a certain weight capacity on those rigs. So
but they reassured us that it had nothing to do with weight, even though we told them that, hey, we have really heavy weights, guys. We're a personal training facility. We got a lot of heavy equipment. And they're like, no, it's all about, you have this much cubic square feet. We're like, all right.
Yeah. So, Larissa and her brother, our other partner, Jeremy Pittman, they kept reiterating and asking that question, are you sure? And the guy, and again, these are separate companies. So the company we booked through is separate from the movers that actually showed up. The movers had a contract with the company to go and do the jobs that they book to ship people all over different places, wherever they're going to. So they showed up, and the drivers told us that, they felt ambushed, and they wasn't malicious or anything like that. They just, after so long of being together, because they showed up and it took us about an hour, maybe 2 hours before we began to load anything, because we wanted to be certain that not only we were going to get our stuff where we wanted to get it to, but that this was going to be something we can afford, since now the price was going to be jacked all the way up, and we were going to have to eat that cost ourselves, even though those mistakes wasn't made on our end. So
yeah, long story short, the broker made a horrible mistake that ended up costing us an additional $2,000.
Yep.
And guys, I'm gonna tell you, if you're ever gonna do something great in life, if you're ever going to accomplish anything big, or if you're going through huge changes and you know that it's what you're supposed to be doing, because Nate and I, as difficult as it is, we know that this is the choice that we have to make. We know this is the move that is best for us, not just for us personally, but professionally. Mm-hmm. And when you know what you know, I'm telling you, things like that are gonna happen. Call it what you want. I believe in a higher power, and I believe that there are forces that are going to try to stop the good that you are going to do and are going to try to prolong you reaching your purpose. I fully believe that, and I'm convinced that was what was taking place with that moving situation, guys. So keep that in mind. If you're going through change and you're trying to do something great, if you're trying to step out of your comfort zone, you're going to get some fight back. You're going to get some resistance, guys. You're going to get some resistance. And again, control what you can. Choose your happiness. Pursue your purpose. And you just keep focusing on the positives, and you just keep rolling with the punches. You just keep standing up, and you keep going, because you're laser focused. You know what you're doing. You know the end goal, and you got to get there no matter what. So you just keep moving.
Yes.
And that kind of gets us to number 3, guys, because those things are going to get in the way. It's going to be difficult. As we said, change is hard. So ask for help and be willing to receive help when it is offered to you.
And
guys,
that's
this
exactly
is huge.
Yep. And
this
that's exactly huge. Why, Kaylee, we are here now, and we asked for help. Is how was we going to be able to continue to do these things until we get into our new home and really into our new location, where we can really set up and just be able to do these things a lot easier. But we didn't want to stop doing all that we were doing. We've been making tremendous progress. A lot of you guys look forward to hearing us on Tuesday, working out with us Tuesday night and Thursday night. So we wanted to figure out a way for that to continue to happen and kind of make it a smooth transition and still be able to offer you a good quality product at the same time. So asking for help, utilizing those others around you is something that's important. It's something that we need, which is why family and friends is very important to have. And sometimes they can really, really help you in a time of need, just like one of these times for us, where we are going through the biggest change. I know personally in my life and our kids' life, and I guess this is their biggest change too, even though you've been through it before, but now you're doing it with me, the kids.
Yeah, it's just, everybody have experienced different types of changes. This is probably one of the biggest, this is definitely the biggest professional change for me. But yeah, no, I mean, asking for help, being willing to accept it, I think that's been difficult for us in the past where, you know, we don't really like to step on any people's toes and we like to do everything ourselves and, you know, we don't want to inconvenience people. But I'm telling you right now, this would not have happened if it weren't for some key people. Kaylee being one of them. I mean, when Nate's been working outside of even like his training hours to make sure, I mean, moving's expensive, guys. It's expensive, professionally and personally. We're having all those extra expenses thrown in our face. So, you know, while he was working, Kaylee, as soon as she was done with work or had any like break, she came and she helped me pack up that whole gym, guys. 2,300 square feet for 6 days straight. I'm talking 15 hours a day, and that is no exaggeration. If you can see, I have like dark bags under my eyes, and they feel swollen to me because I'm just so
crying yesterday.
I'm so tired. I don't even know how to. I told Nate the other day, like, I feel like I did when I was pregnant, like just that pure exhaustion. I've never really felt that except during pregnancy, and no, I'm not pregnant, guys, but that's how I feel, is just so incredibly exhausted, just mentally, emotionally, physically spent. And Kaylee was a part of that, and she can let you know, man, that kicked our asses. It was hard work. Tiffany and Zane, guys, they're letting us stay at their home for a month. That's a long time. They are taking 2 adults, 2 crazy ass kids, and a dog into their home for a month. And that's just like insane to me that we have like these awesome people in our life. Mike Best, he has helped us with car issues. He helped us get some stuff done around the gym. Like, guys, I mean, there's so many more of you out there. I won't name everybody, but you guys, like, literally, this would not have happened without you. There's no way that Nate and I could have done it by ourselves.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
The people that have watched our kids, you know, my sister, your mom, your sister, like, guys, every little bit of help matters. So if you're going through a big change, don't do it by yourself.
Yeah, definitely lean on your support system and allow them to support you and help you, especially if they're willing to do so. If they're not even allowing you to have to come to them and they're just willing to offer that time and offer those resources, take advantage of them. And again, like we said, that's something that's always been hard for us to do, was to receive things from other folks. But at a time, and maybe that was, again, we believe in a higher power, but maybe that was the man upstairs preparing us for this transition of having to accept that we needed to stay with Tiffany at this moment, to use Kaylee's space, to allow Mike to help us with the car issues that we were experiencing all throughout this pandemic, while we were paying the huge overhead that we were maintaining throughout the pandemic.
We never asked for a discount.
Even during months where we wasn't even operating in the space, we were still paying on the first of the month, full price, never a day late, month after month after month. Even when, like we said, we were just on our phones at home. Remember, if you guys are following our journey, when the pandemic started and we shut our facility down because we couldn't operate, we went down to St. Pete, where we're moving now, with Larissa's mom, and said, well, if we got a quarantine, we're going to do it on the beach. So we went down there, and we started to really adapt in this virtual thing, started opening up doors, and COVID did a weird thing for Never Settle, where, like we said, after 2 more years, we were going to make this transition, but these doors opened up in a way that we didn't foresee. But when we saw it happening, instead of sitting around and waiting, we immediately adapted and adjusted to what was going on. And luckily, we got some real loyal, strong clients who really believe in the work that we do and the results that they see with us and relationships overall that we form, that they stuck with us and allowed this transition to be possible. So we didn't go out of business. We were able to still keep making money, still keep helping people, even meeting new people. But now we get to do it in a place that we love, and we can feel almost, like I said, as much as I love Never Settle, Clear Vista Place, that's where the gym is, over in Castleton. That last moment yesterday, again, I thought about so many things, but I said, I'm feeling a way that I haven't felt since we first got that space where I was so supercharged. I was so like full of ambition and just ready to go out and tackle the world and bring people in and really start it. And then after a while, it began to get so redundant and it started to add up with the kids, and the COVID thing came in, and it started to begin to be too much. And we knew that as hard as it was going to give up, we was going to have to do something different soon. And COVID allowed us to be able to do this in a way that we didn't plan, but in a way that ultimately I'm thankful for now when I sit back and I'm reflecting today. And that brings me to number 4, is to reflect on your journey and reminisce on the memories. And we've done a lot of that yesterday, and we kept talking about how maybe I don't feel this way because we're going to Florida, or because we're still going to have our business and we're not going out of business, even though leaving this location is hard. We just
see the bigger picture, you know? Like, it's like when you're trying to do a big puzzle and all the pieces are scattered around and you're like, what is this going to look like? But then you start forming like the frame and the foundation, and then it kind of starts coming together, and now we're like starting to fill in those missing pieces, and now the picture makes sense again. And I think for us, like Nate was saying, it's just like, guys, it was hard. It was hard. I'm not going to lie.
Look,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, man, guys, owning a business is hard in general. Doing it, and some of you guys may have a better grasp on this now with COVID, because a lot of you guys are working from home and you're having to homeschool your kids at the same time. We've been doing that since day one. I was 7 months pregnant when we got that facility, and we've just been hitting the ground running ever since, like no breaks, and having to raise our children there. Like, they are literally with us. Like, we were potty training them. I was breastfeeding them. We're doing all these things. Why? While we are training clients, while we are working, while we are building a business. And like, as Nate said, it just got to the point, like, you can only do that for so long. You know, we're tired, and we knew that we couldn't keep going at the same pace and provide the same quality under those circumstances anymore. Like, we had hit our wall, and like, quality is like our biggest thing. We're so big on quality and safety and you know, providing this just awesome experience for you guys, and we didn't want to sacrifice that. And I knew we were getting close to sacrificing that because we're just burnt out, and something had to change. It's just like, we knew we couldn't keep going on like that forever, and we prayed about it. Guys, we've been praying about this for a long time, and I think this kind of goes in with like reflecting on your journey and reminiscing on those memories. Like, also, like, remember what God has done for you, because I look back, you know, when the pandemic first happened, like when it first happened and they shut down our business, I called my mom bawling. I said, never settles done. There's no way in hell that we're going to stay open. Like, how can we? They shut us down. We're an in-person business. Like, how are we supposed to do this? I said, it's over. It's over. And I remember crying to my mom about that, and you know, talking, and we prayed about it. And, you know, I prayed for clarification. What does this look like? I knew that Florida was an option, but I prayed that it wouldn't be because I wanted to do it. Like, if we're supposed to be in Florida, if that's where God wants us, then it needs to be because that's where God wants us, and not because of me just wanting to go. Because I'm not going to leave if it's just me. And I remember writing in my journal, and I prayed about it. And when we went in May, that Nate mentioned, when, you know, during the pandemic, when we stayed there for a month, I was very specific about my prayers during that time. And I said, all right, God,
make it painfully obvious.
That's what I said. I said, you make it painfully obvious to me what I'm supposed to do, because I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. And he made it painfully obvious to me. That day, I mean, 10, 20 people reached out to me and said, make the move. Go to Florida. Mind you, none of these people had any idea that this was something we were considering, and they said, make the move. You guys should be in Florida. What are you still doing in Indiana? I mean, text after email after inbox. All these people are saying it to me.
On every picture
and I said,
post.
okay, God, you convinced me, but it's not enough for you to convince me. You got to convince Nate. So then Nate got those same comments from his clients, from his friends, from his family, just the same stuff. Confirmation, move.
Well, another thing that really solidified it for me was when we went down in May, and just for Thanksgiving, we stayed for a month in May, and then we just went down for like 2-3 weeks just this past Thanksgiving. So we got a lot of time in St. Pete, and we already got some roots there and some ties there. So even though it's a fresh move, we still kind of got, I don't want to say influence, but we got some understanding of the culture and just the possibilities that awaits us down there. So it's not like we're going in, blindfolded, just throwing haymakers, hoping for the best. We know what's at stake, and we know what our impact can be.
We know what we gotta do.
Yep.
And once Nate got that confirmation, I was like, all right, God, all right, but still not enough. It's still not enough. Like, now you have to convince my brother, and you're not going to convince my brother. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, there's no way that Jeremy's going to get on board. My brother, our other business partner, he's not going to get on board with this. This is us being selfish. And that night, because I even said to God, I was like, look, you got 2 days because you got to give me an answer before we go back to Indy. If I go back to Indy and I don't hear from you, I'm going to assume that we're going to fulfill our full lease term there. And that night, my brother messaged me and he said, let's get you to where you want to be. Now, at that time, he didn't mean right then and there, right? He was just like, let's make the moves necessary to get you to Florida, because that's ultimately where you want to be.
Which is when we start building the virtual training club that we had just released this past weekend.
Yep.
So we started doing that, figuring out ways to have some residual income rolling in, because we know we're not going to have a flu of clients as soon as we come in, but we still need to be able to make our business be able to stay thriving, stay making money while we make that transition. So that's exactly what happened there. And then you can go ahead and continue.
Yeah, guys, so I just think, from that little, that's just one of the many experiences that my God moments that I've had. And I think it's important to go back and remember those. I kept a journal. It was all right, once I got all those confirmations, I was like, all right, we're going to be in Florida. I don't know when. And I prayed about that. And I'll be honest with you, God never gave me a time frame about it. He never confirmed when it was going to happen. I just knew that it was going to happen. And maybe that meant 2 months, maybe that meant 2 years, maybe that meant 20 years. I had no idea, but I in my head was like, all right, we're gonna at least serve 2 more years because we're in this lease, and that's what logically makes sense to me. And so that's what I was focusing on. And I had my Get to Florida notebook of like, okay, we need to make this much money in sales, we need to do this, I have to do, crossing all these things off of my list to make this a possibility. And then I wrote in my journal, like, you're not living one more winter here. And I can show you guys that journal, and it's just crazy. God is so good, because I wrote that down and not even necessarily thinking it's possible. It's just like, okay, this is what I feel, this is what I want. And I do believe that God gives you the desires of your heart. And guess what? We are not doing one more winter here. We're not.
No, it's officially booked. And also, what I was going to say about the confirmation is, when we went down, I was driving Uber and Lyft during that time, which gave me the opportunity to meet a lot of locals, really see a lot of St. Pete that I normally wouldn't see, because we just would normally hang on the beaches. But I actually got to see the city and what it entails and meet a lot of the people. And I had a lot of reassuring conversations with a lot of passengers that I picked up. They seen that I was from Indy by my plates. They seen my profile that I owned a gym back here, and they had a lot of questions. And they loved everything that I had to say about our model and our focus for health and fitness. And I knew that, man, this can really work here. What we're bringing, even though people say, oh, there's tons of competition or this, that, and the third. Look, there's going to be competition everywhere. Mm-hmm. But what the past 5 years has done for us has built a tremendous amount of confidence in us as business owners. Me as a trainer, since I just started my career here and I never had any experience elsewhere. I literally went right from school, right to accepting clients in our apartment gym when we were staying over in Carmel, and we just started rolling. Like, Larissa was pregnant full time. As soon as we opened up Clear Vista, she went home and had Malachi, and as you women know, and some of you fathers know as well, that first one is always the roughest one because it's a new experience for that woman and her body. So she's always a little harder, at least for most. And I know in our experience for Larissa, Malachi was a real tough pregnancy. Larissa was down and out, and I was running the whole thing right off the bat. Germany's all the way in San Francisco.
We were planning like 6 weeks. We're like, oh yeah, 6 weeks I'll be back to work. I couldn't walk for 10.
Yeah,
I couldn't walk.
So I took all her clients, all of the clients I had, and then every new one that was coming in because we just opened up a 2,300 square foot facility. We need to bring some bodies in there. We need to fill this space out. We brought in a young trainer, and we got that space with the idea of packing it with some trainers and doing all these things. But you live and you learn, and we kind of seen that our focus was really, like this Ma and Pa type feel, where it was going to be Larissa and myself, our family, and that experience alone was going to help us be who we were going to be in this industry and offer what we offer and impact people the way we do. And that's being this family-oriented business that's very comfortable and very accepting and very, very knowledgeable on the body and how to recover your body, how to build your body, and how to continue to push yourself in a safe way. And people have been following and working with us heavy with that. And now we know that in this next chapter, exactly what we need to do. So going to St. Pete isn't scary at all. The scary thing was leaving all of you here behind who we have formed these relationships with, who we had these experiences with, who our kids have known all of their life, and you guys have been a significant part of their lives. And they know all of you. You guys know that. You know that you watch Malachi roll around on that blanket over in the corner while we were doing sets on the other side of the gym. Mm-hmm. You watched him run across the floor with his stroller and everything and take those steps as he learned how to walk. And
Cece doing the same thing.
You watch Cece do the same thing, and now you watch them, if you're still with
us,
grab the weights and they start working out next to you and we start laughing. But it's that right there that makes Never Settle Fitness. And we're just taking that down to Florida. And when I had that experience and those conversations with the passengers, they went and followed our social media, connected with a lot of people, and I was like, man, we belong here. We always knew it when we went down. Larissa was already there. And of course, I only seen it on TV at first. I went to Florida one time in my life prior to us getting in our relationship and starting to make it a regular, like, we're going to go every year, especially since when we started Never Settle, we got one time to get away, so we would try to make it at least 2 weeks every time we went down to Florida. But we really laid those seeds and started building a foundation there, even without us knowing it, I believe. And then Larissa's mom moving down, and she got a great job, and she had been introduced and had met some great people, and now we got those ties as well that are other opportunities for us. And like she was saying about Jeremy, when those doors started to open for him, because I was always like, regardless of this, I got to keep and make sure that the family, even if this gym doesn't work out right now, I got to make sure that we can get through every day. So that was always my focus as Larissa was going and doing all of the things she was doing. I was focusing on making sure that we had those daily essentials, everything we needed for the month, and whatever the kids need, whatever Roxy needs, whatever we need at the same time. So we was juggling all of those things at the same time, and now it all just turned out to be what we always wanted it to be, but it happened in a way that, like you said, you didn't want to be selfish, but it happened in a way that now everybody is happy and everybody is comfortable and adapted to what this change is. So once Jeremy came around the corner and I seen that message, like you said, when he wrote that, and I was like, this is really about to happen. I knew it was going to happen then, and I didn't want to take myself there because I knew once that came that I was going to completely tap out because of all of the load of carrying Clear Vista over the past year through the pandemic, of how tremendously hard that was becoming to be.
Stress. It was a big stress, guys. And that's, really gets us to number 5. Regardless of whatever change you're going through, focus on the future. And as we said, you're going to get tons of confirmations throughout your journey. And you're also going to get a lot of people trying to bring you down and try to tell you that what you're doing is stupid or it's never going to work. And then, you have these doubts come into your mind. And you're like, maybe he's right. Maybe she has a point. But you guys know what you know. And this goes back to what we talked about before. And if you are living in purpose, then you don't have to worry about anything. You just keep focusing on your future. You just keep leading the way, and don't worry about what the naysayers have to say, because there's always going to be someone trying to pull you down. There's always going to be some haters. There's always going to be some people that even are nice to your face, but they talk about you behind your back. I know there's some people out there with us. I know, I've even had some of my friends say stuff to me of like, are you, you think you guys can do this? Like,
yeah.
Did you realize that you're not going to have a location, right? Like, yes, we have thought about every possible scenario here, but we know what we know.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to ride with that. Regardless of what anybody says, we know what we know, and we know that this is best for us. And nobody else has to understand it. Nobody else has to believe in it. I got enough belief in us and in Never Settle for it to be okay. So
look, and the key word too of this is purpose, guys. It's about purpose, because again, there are a lot of people that want to move to Los Angeles and go be an actor in Hollywood, but that's not really their purpose. It's more of a selfish thing, and they just want to get there because maybe they want to be like somebody else.
Or they want to make a bunch of money and, like hit it big.
And it is not something that's organic or purposeful for your life. And it's probably not even something you're really even good at. So make sure that when you are forced to have to embrace change and you're making tough decisions, that it's something that you're doing of purpose. Because I would say that resistance that you get back, those haters, those naysayers, that's reinsurance itself. Because whenever you're doing something of purpose or something that's beneficial, you're always going to run into that resistance. And I'll take it back to this. I spoke about this with a few people after the moving situation, because how crazy that was. Now, I don't know this story verbatim, but maybe a lot of you have heard it. But Steve Harvey, I remember, he told a story about how he wanted to get this new fancy car, and he had this old car sitting out in the driveway on cinder blocks that was pretty much broken down, but he didn't want to give it up because of everything it meant for him, how hard he worked to get that car and everything he put into it. But he wanted something better. But his grandma told him that for him to make that possible for himself, that he needed to make himself open to receive a blessing. So he needed to get that car out of the driveway, give it up, be willing to sacrifice and give it up to make way for that new blessing to come in. And that's exactly what we did here, is that giving up Never Settle, giving up everyone here that we have come to know oh so close, and we've helped so much and they helped us so much. That's a tremendous ask. That is a tremendous thing, as far as just letting it go, stepping back away from that and trying to embrace the future when it's not really all the way laid out for you. But like you said, the foundation has already been built. Now we just need to have faith and belief in it and make that blessing open for us to receive it. So going through everything we went through Saturday with the truckers, only for Monday, the guy Joe, the realtor, the homeowner, to call us and tell us that we get the house. And guys, you got to understand, this house too plays a role, because we've been looking at a lot of things through Zillow, and Larissa mom and her husband has been down there, feet to the ground, going to look at stuff for us, making sure it was in a good area, that it was something that was going to be doable for our family and safe for our kids, because Malachi is going to be going to school soon. So that's a whole nother reason that this thing had to happen sooner than later, because we knew we didn't want to have him start building relationships here just to move him away. It was already going to be hard enough to take him away from his cousin Liam, who they were born around the same time, and they are best buds, and they love each other so much, and they have such a fun time. But that's one of Larissa's biggest things outside of business. That's a personal tie for her, that Malachi and Liam not being able to have that time together anymore, and my mom not being able to drive over and see the kids, or me take them over there, or my father or my sister. Like, those things are incredibly hard to do. But stepping back and allowing this to actually happen, we got the confirmation about the house, and this house is, like we said, it's 5 minutes from the water. It's in a high-end area. It's around a bunch of great potential clientele, the type of clientele who we have already made ourselves, you know, do with here in Indiana. Our same clientele base we work with in Indiana, we're going to be surrounded by those folks in Florida, but the one difference between them is that they're not going to be limited by weather. They're not going to be limited by location when we get there. And most of them won't be limited by financial means, because most of these people are retired and they worked 40, 50 years their whole life, and now they just want to take care of their health and enjoy everything that they worked so hard to achieve. And what better thing for us to do is to come in and offer our services that we're good at, and the people we are used to working with and helping them find, you know, success and value in themselves and making that a priority in their life. We're ready to do that, and we know that's something that we can do, and God has assured us that it's that time for us to do it. So
God says jump,
we're focusing
jump.
on the future. You know? He said jump, and it took us a while, but
we kind of stuck our toe in for a little bit. The water was
tested
cold,
the water.
and we were like,
It was a little chilly.
But now we're jumping all in, guys. Sink or swim. You got to jump all in, and I think that's just where we're at. And like
we skinny dipping this thing at this point.
like Nate said, man, we're just preparing for our blessings. We are just setting ourselves up. You know, like all those barriers that we ran into. No, we're gonna set ourselves up and our family up so we can fly down whenever we want to for the kids to get together and for those relationships to still be there. Like I'm gonna be honest with you guys, we have flexibility in our business, but we're gonna create even more, and then we're gonna pass it down to our kids. And like that's really what this is about. I think this opens up the door for us to live how we want to live and to raise our kid. Like we don't have to answer to anybody or, you know, miss out on moments with our children. And even though it's hard right now, like this is gonna really set the stage for that to be so much easier, because we are creating residual income through something that we have created, a platform that we have made. And guys, there's just like, that's our future, you know, that's our future. And we're just focused on that, and nothing can stop us. This is what we're doing. We hope that you guys support us in that. And if you do want to support us in that, we are offering 100% virtual training services. So whether that's one-on-one personal training, nutritional consulting, we do have our brand new and improved virtual training club. So if you guys are interested in that, this is basically going to be just like self-serve fitness programs. We'll get some nutritional programs in there. It's going to be a one-stop shop for everything health, wellness, healing, and you're going to have access to it. It's a members-only site. It's very cost-friendly, guys, but we're giving you a 7-day free trial. 7-day free trial, so you can come try it out risk-free. You'll have access to Nate and to myself. You'll get assigned to one of us as your personal trainer, and we're going to help hold you accountable during these programs that we have created for you. And this is just going to keep growing, guys. We only have 2 programs done right now. They're both 30-day programs, but expect by like mid-May, I would say, let us get settled in Florida, but by about mid-May, we're going to hit you with some new programs. And this is just going to keep growing, and it's going to keep getting bigger. And we want you guys to support us. We want you to be a part of that family, regardless of what option you choose, whether that's our cost-friendly virtual club, one-on-one personal training virtually, nutritional consulting. We are here for you. I know that we are going to be miles away from our friends in Indianapolis, but you can still support us, and we would love for you guys to try us out. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll go ahead and drop the 7-day free trial link, and you can schedule a complimentary consultation with Nate or myself. But quick recap here. We kind of told you what we've been going through, how we've been feeling. Maybe you're going through something similar. Maybe you are experiencing a lot of change right now. And if you are, very quick recap, guys, this is how you can embrace change. 5 steps here. You need to recognize that change is going to happen. It's inevitable, and you need to be willing to adapt. Number 2, control what you can. Choose happiness and always focus on the positives. Don't listen to those naysayers. Number 3, ask for help and be willing to receive help from others. Do not do it alone. Number 4, you need to reflect on your journey, how far you have come, reminisce on the memories, and just give thanks to where God has provided in your life. Make sure to take a mental note of those answered prayers. And number 5,
focus on the future.
Focus on the future, guys. Don't look back anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where you're going.
Keep your eyes on the prize.
Yep.
No
Keep
matter
walking
what
forward.
hurdles are thrown in your way, trust me, if it's something that your purpose entails and something that you're really passionate about, there won't be no hurdle too high that you can't jump. So stay with your eyes on the prize, stay focused on the future, guys, and go get it done. Don't be held back. Don't be stuck in the past. Continue moving forward, guys. There's only good things to come.
Yep, guys, take risks, get out of your comfort zone, and go be great. We love you guys, and as always, never give up.
Never lose hope.
Never
settle. All right, guys. See you next week here. And until then, have a great rest of your week.